Welcome back with another banger. Yeah. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Back with another banger. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Y'all feel me? Let's run it.
I've been waiting to talk about the storm that's coming this weekend because I didn't want to freak people out, and a lot of these forecasts never pan out, but this one is panning out, it looks like. Yeah, everyone's in agreement now that the crazy forecast is actually happening. This is going to be one of those storms you probably remember for much of your life. Basically, more than the eastern half of the United States is going to be below freezing, most of that below zero. They're calling for, foot and a half of snow all through here, all the way to the mid-Atlantic, and 3 inches of ice in this pink band right here. 3 inches of ice is unbelievably catastrophic. That is worse than what Texas experienced in 2021. There's going to be loss of life. Anywhere there's 3 inches of ice, there's no power. There's not going to be a power line that's not on the ground when there's 3 inches of ice. And emergency services aren't going to be able to reach you because there's 3 inches of ice on the road. That's what's going to happen if this forecast is correct. The grid's going to fail. Refineries are going to shut down. Water systems are going to shut down. Could knock out a couple of LNG terminals if it goes far enough south on the Gulf Coast. This is going to be a disaster if this forecast is even close to accurate. I mean, a major disaster. Huge natural disaster across pretty much all the southern states. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you live in the pink area, you should plan to be without power for at least a week, maybe a month. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you need to prepare for it because it wouldn't be the first time it happened, okay? This is that. People went without power for a month in Texas in 2021. This is a repeat of that. For you folks in the upper Midwest, where it's going to be like 30 below, take the largest electric bill you've ever had in your life and add, 25% to that or more. Yeah. But more importantly, just be prepared. Thanks.
Now that's what you call some brutal honesty. Yeah, I'm in the pink. Carolinas. He said maybe a week, maybe a month. What? Shout out to Texas. Many of y'all went through that. Salute. I remember the last Hurricane Helene. The power went out for like 3 days. But yeah, on the real side, any of you viewers watching at home right now in the pink area, brace yourselves. Start preparing now. Don't even think about it. Just do it.
Так, ну что, выходим. Вот такая у нас нора имеется. Мне кажется, мы такие в детстве домики строили. Слушайте, ну мне нравится такой антуражик прям. Видно меня? Да. Вылажу из норы. Такая ситуация.
Yo, I'm not even willy-nillying you guys right now. The ice storm that's about to happen in the United States, get stacking wood now. Get into the forest and literally get wood because you may need it to heat on your freaking lean-to. Like you need to be maybe outside around a fire because your house might be freezing. The ice storm that's coming, look at this. We're talking Texas, ice, snow, freezing cold across all the United States. Canada is supposed to get, look at this. I thought it was just going to be cold. No, there's precipitation involved. The coldest air mass on Earth will be centered over Ontario. This, I don't even know, has this ever happened before? Before we recorded it, perhaps. Not longer than 6,000 years ago, of course, though. But is this freaking crazy or what? This guy's saying you're not going anywhere this weekend. If you're in the south, it may bring extended disruption. All three of the main weather models continue to coat much of Texas and the south with hazardous and locally crippling ice totals. This guy's saying you should be getting stocked up on groceries and non-perishables. And I say something that you can heat your frickin' house with. They say if you get a clay pot, you put it upside down and you put some little cinder blocks or something around it, then you put a candle in it, and that alone emits a ton of heat. Well, so does a bajillion pounds of wood. This is why I stacked all freaking summer, dude. I'm a wood chopper. How many woodchucks could have chucked friggin' wood? So listen, this is strange because I don't know about you, but this winter has seemed extremely abnormal. It was like above zero a few weeks ago, and it was minus 15 on December 15th. Okay, before Christmas, we had like February temperatures. So what the Sam Dam's going on? So right now, stock up on diesel, gas, freaking snowmobiling. Got my new snowmobile. I'll tell you guys all about it. It's a freaking beast, man. I'll tell you all about it. Stay tuned. Comment your thoughts. Tell me how your winter's going, because this is weird.
I agree. This is extra weird. Definitely want to get out there and chop some wood. Absolutely. Stock up on non-perishables. Right now is the most important time to figure out a way to heat up your house.
This is a road right here. This is the right lane. I stopped. I didn't hit this guy. I stopped. But this guy was trying to avoid me from the right side. He was trying to avoid me, but he still hit me because he got pushed. But this is big pileup over here. And look at these cars. And I still hear the noise banging in the back. But there is one car right here. Oh my God. You guys all right? You okay? Oh, hold on. 1 second, I'm coming. Hey, help me out to get these people out, bro.
I had to go out. I went off the edge. This guy got hit. Yeah, you got about 100. You got about 100 cars.
All right. You're probably not about the safest spot right now.
The tunnel diggers dig at 2 to 3 miles an hour, and they reduce all of the rock, all of the material, everything, down to microscopic material, and they spray it on the lining of the tunnel, which then turns to be almost glass, which then is electrically excited and becomes a lighted tunnel. And these guys are running there 2 miles an hour, operating this tunnel, which then has subsonic vehicles operating on rail that don't leave the rail all over the planet.
Does anyone else remember when the aurora borealis was rare and not some common occurrence that we could see like in the middle of the city? I don't really think those are the northern lights. I actually think that that's just some kind of electromagnetic frequency manipulation that we're seeing in the sky. It's no secret that stuff like HAARP can actually create artificial northern lights. They said they could. And all those ripples in the sky, what if that's just from all the frequency manipulation, the same stuff that's causing the sky to turn colors, these things that used to be rare that have become normal? Do you remember the puffy clouds? Not the streaks that come across the sky. There's so much light pollution in the city, we really can't even see the stars at night, but we can see the aurora borealis, the rare northern lights. The truth really is stranger than fiction because it is.
I agree. Truth is stranger than fiction. I remember when the borealis was rare. Shout outs to symbolism syndrome. Definitely making a lot of good points right here.
I'm not trying to make you scared, but we should see this. So have you ever noticed that the dollar bill has an omega? But what does this mean for the dollar bill? Well, the omega is the last letter of the Greek alphabet. So you have alpha and omega, which represents beginning and end. So this means the end. And the end of what? Well, the dollar bill, which is fiat currency. So it's just symbolizing that this is going to be the last physical fiat currency before everything resets to digital. So they've been telling you this for years. It's just hidden in symbolism that this is going to be the end.
Fill up real quick, boys. We need to get a door open. All right. The trunk. They can't go through the back. The trunk. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh.
You can't unlock the door. It's auto. It's the auto is not standard, so you can't unlock it.
Can you call 911? Yeah, he called 911.
In the back.
Don't touch yourself.
Use your shoes, sir. Stand up and kick it. There you go.
Hey, go to the back. Johnny, climb to the back. Go to the back. Go to the back.
Go to the back.
Go to the back! Watch your head! Watch your head! Watch your head! Hey! It's okay. It's alright.
This is not a pile of trash. What you're looking at is the latest anti-drone camo suit used by Russian forces in Ukraine. Let me show you. Now, here it is in action, and as you can see, it clearly looks like a bunch of trash or rubble just in the middle of the street, but more importantly, it's treated with anti-infrared paint to conceal the soldier's heat signature. Let me show you. So here's the exact same scene through two different lenses. At the top is a traditional camera, and the camouflage clearly works, but at the bottom is a thermal camera, which only picks up on heat, and as you can see, the person appears clear as daylight. Now, the same camouflage technique is being applied to these large tarps that are then used to cover entire areas. And here's an example of a soldier using the same technique to conceal a weapon, and this is just a really interesting example of how the design of camouflage is evolving alongside new technologies in war, such as drones. Follow for more.
Yeah, just make sure the fabric and everything that has color on it, yeah, just make sure it's blue. Shout out to Design Secrets, which is very fascinating.
America is the old world. So I went to the Parthenon in Athens, Greece. Nashville, Tennessee, to check out this exact replica the Matrix says was built in 1920. Really sit with that for a second, because if you were blindfolded and dropped off here randomly, you'd swear you're standing in ancient Greece. Now what's interesting is before Nashville was known for country music and whiskey, it was originally called the Athens of the South. But that's just the cover story, because once you start paying attention, you see examples of ancient architecture all throughout Nashville. A lot of you locals have seen these Greek and Egyptian style buildings. And it doesn't matter where you are, right? Every major city in America has these old world structures. Rome never fell. The founding fathers, all Freemasons. They didn't build any of this, they found it. The government buildings, the monuments, the capitals, these were all already here. So why is there an exact replica of the Parthenon in Tennessee? Well, the story goes is they first built this as a temporary structure made of wood and plaster for the 1897 World Fair, which we were also never taught about, right, is these World Fairs. Then they rebuilt the permanent structure 20 years later. But there's two problems with that. Since when does a temporary structure last 20 years? And then two is I did a bit of digging and found this book that came out with the World's Fair, and it debunks the whole thing. In here, it was originally described as a permanent structure. It says nothing about wood and plaster, but stone, brick, and iron. It was listed as fireproof. This alone proves somebody is lying. Now, this place is also the holder of the world's largest set of matching bronze doors in the world. Now, for reference, I am 5'11". These doors are 24 feet tall and weigh 7.5 tons each. So I'm talking to one of the workers here, and she told me the doors were supposedly built in Long Island, New York. So I asked, okay, well, how were they moved here? 4 15,000-pound doors, surely that's a feat everyone would want to document. Well, no official comment on how the doors were moved. No construction photos either. Nashville is suspicious, and the construction photos for the actual building, only 2 of them. Both Photoshop. If you really pay attention and use your discernment, you can see the scaling in this photo is completely off. And in this one, it's always the same thing. You see a fully erected building with some scaffolding slapped around, and that's all the proof they need. And then you look at the supposed architect. You mean to tell me a Civil War veteran, Master Mason by the way, laid out the blueprints for all of this? No. You gotta understand secret societies, rewriting history. Go see my last post about the World Fairs. All these World Fairs were coordinated by Master Masons, and these events were indoctrination points. They were international projects where secret societies would start rewriting the narrative. Anyone who's dove into Freemasonry knows how obsessed they are with all this stuff. Go look back into the World Fairs photos and you'll see it. All these places look like ancient Greece. Chicago, New York, St. Louis. Go back to the World's Fair for Nashville and you will see a giant Egyptian pyramid, the Mystery School, the Greek Initiation Temple, the Phoenician Bridge or Brotherhood, all in the guise of American progress. This is their religion. This is what they do. Go to any major city in America and you will find these buildings that weren't inspired by the old world, but are the literal remains of it.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
You said you're confident something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
what gives the U.S. the right to take away that self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
Listen up. So Trump posted this picture. Now, if you zoom in, you can clearly see the map. And that map looks a lot like what I've been talking about. It's exactly the same. The North American technate, which I've gone over in previous videos, and this idea was created by this man right here, Joshua Haldeman, who is the grandfather of Elon Musk, who is also in the Social Credit Party. And we know that Elon Musk has been talking about making X like WeChat in China, which is tied to their social credit score. He wanted to give everyone a certificate of distribution available to every citizen from birth to death. And the technate would encompass the entire American continent from Panama to the North Pole. They came up with energy certificates, which would have a table with the information of a citizen's identification, age, sex, occupation, location, energy allotment, purchases made, and the issue date and expiration date. It would be called an energy distribution card. That would look something like this: a universal identity card. Every citizen would be given an amount of energy that they can use. You cannot sell or give away your energy. If you don't use it, it becomes void. It would be like a universal basic income, but with energy instead of money. Just like Musk predicted. He's just walking in his grandfather's footsteps. With the North American technate, you would not have politicians anymore. So you wouldn't have the left or right paradigm, which would help with all the division. The technocrats would be in power. You know, the billionaires, kind of like what Trump is doing right now in Gaza with the Board of Peace. He literally said, as chairman of the Board of Peace, I am backing a newly appointed Palestinian technocratic government. And since he's been in power, he's been talking about getting Greenland, Canada, Venezuela, and now Mexico. That's why this map, which is the North American technate, looks like that map, because that is his plan. And he's showing us in plain sight. Anyone who studies Bible prophecy knows this was going to happen, because eventually there's going to be 10 kingdoms. And we know with the Club of Rome map, this looks kind of like that. But it looks mostly like the North American technate, thanks to the grandfather of Elon Musk. And why wouldn't a billionaire not want that to happen? This is the plan. Our fiat system is going to the dumpster, so it would make sense that they would start some kind of energy allotment instead. And with the huge AI data centers they are making, we're going to have to conserve energy, because the data centers are using a lot of it.
The North American technate. It's the first time I'm hearing of this. Shout outs to Please Stay Awake. Wow, the fact that that was up in his office looks wild. Definitely makes you wonder.
I just discovered the wildest connection in all of history that has to do with your personal magic that has been hidden in mythology for years. Okay, Dakinis. Okay, so the Dakini, stay with me, was a powerful, enlightened female, a sky dancer who could bring awakening, enlightenment, cutting through illusion, but she also was a demoness that drank blood and fed on the life force of humans and was made to convert to Buddhism, where she agreed to only eat the dead. This is the first hidden thing. We love Buddhism, but it was a patriarchal religion, and by letting go of this feminine magic and suppressing this feminine that is in everyone, not just women, the magic was tamed because it made people feel uncomfortable who couldn't control their desire. So desire, aka your magic powers, were demonized because people like this, men and women, who had these magic powers, who could control this energy, they shined too bright and they were a mirror for people and how they couldn't actualize their magic powers, and instead their desire was feeding into, ego things that caused destruction in their life. So they thought maybe these people would do that, but they wouldn't. We created our own monster. We did this with Mary Magdalene by calling her a whore. We did this with witches. We did it with the vampires. These things were actually never evil. They were just too real. They were too much. Think about it now. Your destiny, your power, it scares you. That's why a lot of us don't go for what we really want. We can't dream big. It scares us because it's the unknown. We don't think we'll control it, or like money's the root of all evil. No, it's energy and it can be used for good or bad. Even in Egyptian times, Sekhmet was, bloodthirsty, right? No. These were all stories that were made. This is not the beginning of history, guys. This is just what was a collective agreement that was told that is a huge cover-up of our magic and the feminine. One of the connections I found was Inanna, Sumerian goddess. She used alcohol to take power, these magic powers from Enki, or some god. Then Sekhmet, later on in Egypt, had beer or alcohol used against her because it was supposed to be blood, which she drank, and she was tricked. The power was then taken from her back to the gods. Mythologies are stories. It was like their movies. The key here is when power cannot be destroyed, it is redirected, and we see this constant battle of the me, of these magic powers of light and dark. It reflects the power within us of light and dark. power struggle, the tension of our desire and imagination. But we can learn to fuse these. We can go in our heart and know what our higher self or God dreams for us, connect that with our desire, set fierce boundaries for ourselves and focus and let ourselves shine and dream big dreams. Use that energy, that magic power to co-create our lives instead of becoming victim to our lives, letting all these other people determine our lives and using our powers against us. Direct and focus the energy. Become the rainbow serpent. Serpent that was split up back in the day to heaven and earth. By combining these again, desire is the energy of creation, not a sin. Connect with your inner Dakini.
That is a wild connection. That's wild. Shout out to Dana Kipple. I totally feel where she's coming from. Sometimes things are too much to the point where they're called sin and all this other stuff, you know? But like she said, if you look inside, focus, and let that become your desire, you're bound for greatness. There's no other way around it. And you're no longer the victim. Very fascinating theory.
I don't have to lie, but I move off love and unity. And that's how Jesus walked. If y'all Christians, that's how Yahweh walked. If y'all Africans and y'all roots, Yahweh walked and just showing love regardless of what somebody did to you. When they crucified them on the cross, he still forgave us, everybody for their sins. And they damn near killed them. So it's like, we can't treat hate with hate. Love overcome hate any day. When one motherfucker starts showing love, everybody show love. But if one person hate, everybody hate. It's a domino effect, just like a domino.
Do not talk to them!
At that point, they got to me and my daughter-in-law, and then they told me to come out here without my clothes on, and then they just handcuffed me right there. My grandson watched everything. After they took me, he was crying, looking for me. They drove me all the way to Minneapolis, I don't know where. My son grabbed my ID, showing to them. They just said, okay, you're good. So they freed me. And they didn't say anything. They didn't say sorry or anything. They just, okay, you're good. They just left.
Number one thing that I think about, this is actually number one. Andrew Colvett, he painted a vivid picture for me in that immediate 48 hours. We were on the phone, and he told me about how when he flew, while he was on the plane flying, he had so much anxiety and it was pent up because, like, you know, everyone was messaging him while he's on the plane, and, you know, he doesn't know whether or not, you know, Charlie was okay or whatever. And then he said that anxiety, he said, as soon as the plane landed, I got off of the plane and ran into Erica's arms on the tarmac and boo-hoo cried. He said, like, basically, like, you know, like, fell into her arms and cried because he was had so much anxiety. Their planes landed an hour apart. So I just thought it was interesting that she waited to go to the hospital, because I mean, who could say, I think we can say what we would do. We'd probably go right to the hospital. And, you know, she did tell me that she found out Charlie was dead before they took off in Arizona. And I think about that a lot. Like, why wait an hour on the tarmac? And then, despite waiting for him to land, they then went into different entries into the hospital. Erica went through the back and Andrew went through the front. So there's a lot there that doesn't make sense to me. But the hour waiting on the tarmac bothers me, because you are with other people. You should get to the hospital as fast as possible. And why are we waiting for Andrew Colvett?
I really got to sit with that. That's such.
I've been sitting with it for 3 months, and this does feel like therapy that I finally got this all.
I mean, that sounds
4 months.
I need to go back and pull those plane records.
He landed a lot later.
That is
more than an hour, if I'm remembering correctly. So.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. If you enjoyed this video, please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.